If you own a swimming pool, you might be able to make some extra cash by renting it out on a platform called Swimply. Now, I'll be doing this my third summer this summer, and I've got a lot of lessons that I've learned that I want to share so that you can figure out, is this right for you? Is this something that you want to do? I'll talk about the good, I'll talk about the bad, and questions you need to answer for yourself so that you can decide whether or not this is something you want to pursue. Let's first talk about the requirements for being able to host on Swimply. First, you need to have a pool or a hot tub. There are some listings that are just hot tub only. So if you don't have a full pool, you can get into Swimply with just renting a hot tub out. I know there are a few listings like that around me. I can't say how well those do, but I do know, at least in the wintertime, people bug me for uh, opening up and just letting them rent my hot tub. So there's some demand, at least, especially in colder climates, for having just a hot tub. But you need to have either a hot tub or a pool. You've also got to have either experience or a desire to learn hospitality. Uh, this is not just sit back and collect a bunch of money. There's some work involved. And in order to do well, you've got to learn the basics of hospitality, what makes a good experience, customer service type stuff, making sure that people that come have a good time and want to come back, that kind of thing. You also need to have the ability to learn new things, new technology, how to use the Swimply app or their website, and all of the other things related to hospitality that I mentioned. The last thing I would say is you got to have a little bit of patience. Um, Swimply has some challenges as a company. They're not always super efficient. They're not always easy to get a hold of. Their app has bugs at times that can cause issues. So you've got to come at this with a little bit of patience and just realize that uh, nothing crazy is happening. There's no lives at stake here in people renting out your pool, and so you've got to roll with it a little bit, and you don't always have the tools or the support that you would like in order to host your guests and give them a good time. Let's talk about what's good first. Number one, income. You can make money off of this platform by using a resource that you have that might not be used all that much. And this is where we were at 3 years ago. We had a pool, our kids were grown, nobody really used it. And so it sat around quite a bit without anybody using it. And when I saw Swimply as a platform, I thought, hey, let me try that, see how that goes. Our first year, we made $12,000 over the summer, just renting about 2.5, close to 3 months of time. We were able to put $12,000 in our pockets by renting out our pool. The second year, we dialed it down a little bit. We weren't open quite as much, but we still made over $10,000 that second year that we rented out our pool. Now, the money that you can make is going to be different based on your location, how many pools there are in your area, what the competition is like, what other forms of entertainment exist in that area, and other options that people might have. I can say from chatting with other hosts, while we are higher than some, we are definitely lower than some as well. There are hosts that make a lot more money than we do, that have bigger spaces and more events. So for you, depending again on your location, the size of your area, how close you are to urban centers, that kind of thing, you can make anywhere between $0 and $50,000 a year by just letting people come and swim in your pool. Next on what's good, tax breaks. Now, because you're renting out your pool, you can claim a lot of expenses in the form of business expenses related to the costs of keeping your pool up and available and part of your business. So this includes things like cost to heat the pool, if you do that, any electricity that you use, running your pump at night and filtering out water, all your chemicals, pool toys, any expenses that you have because you are renting your pool out, you are able to claim as business expenses and reduce those from your taxes. Now, I'm not a tax attorney. I'm not going to give you specific tax advice. Talk to your either CPA or tax attorney to get actual advice for the area that you live in, but just understand that this is an opportunity for you to reduce the maintenance costs of your pool and to get a little bit of money back at tax time. Another benefit that you're going to get is you're going to get to meet cool people. We've met so many cool individuals, couples, families that have come and rented our pool. We have several return guests that we know on a first name basis. And these are people that we otherwise would not have met if we weren't doing this thing. And I will say the good people far outweigh the bad. We've had many more positive experiences than we've had negative, and it's a benefit that both my wife and I really enjoy, in that we've met all these people that we wouldn't otherwise have met. The last that we'll call out as a good is you're going to get to see joy in other people that come to share your space, use what you've built, what you have. And that for us has been very fulfilling. We've had guests that include families that have autistic children that can't be in a public pool or in a lake, just because it's overstimulating and there's a lot of strange people around. We've had people that have come for therapy. We've had people do photo shoots for weddings and for travel magazines. We've just had so many cool use cases where people have come and used our pool for their events, for their families, and getting to see the joy and excitement in others has been really fulfilling for us. Now let's talk about what's bad. It's not all roses and sunshine, as much as we'd like it to be, but first of all, this is work. You've got to keep your space clean. You've got to have it presentable. You've got to greet guests, communicate with them. There's work involved in doing this. This is not just a spigot of free money that drops in your lap, but you need to think of this as a part-time job that you'll be embarking on if you want to do this. Second, your stuff is going to get damaged. Just count on it. Like pool toys, floaties, anything like that. We basically set a budget at the beginning of the year. We buy all new toys and we expect them to be destroyed by the end of the summer. And so we don't get super nice, expensive floaties or pool toys because we know they'd be trashed. And anything that we want to keep really nice, we don't leave out for guests to use. Just count on anything you leave out for the guests over a summer is going to get ruined in one way or another. Now, we've not had any damage to our house or anything significant like that. I'm strictly talking about noodles, rafts, goggles, basketball hoops, that kind of thing, the stuff that you would use in and around the pool. We've not had any broken windows or furniture or anything like that. So talking just strictly pool toys. You can have problems with guests. This is something that we've had very rarely. Now, in 2 full summers, we've hosted about 160 different events. One time I had to go and talk to the people to say, hey, watch your kids. Ultimately, they were not watching their kids. They were roughhousing quite a bit. Kids were screaming, and it was just not a very safe kind of environment. And so 1 out of about 160, I had to go and have a conversation with those guests to say, watch your kids. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. And you've got to be prepared to go and have an uncomfortable conversation with somebody about their behavior and about how they're treating your property. Now, fortunately, I don't have this issue, but I know other hosts have. Another thing that you might have is challenges with your neighbors. If you've got neighbors that you don't get along with, they will definitely notice an uptick in traffic, an uptick in vehicles parked in your driveway or in front of your house. And it does have the potential to cause additional conflict with your neighbors. Not saying they have a good excuse for it, but something to be thinking about as you decide for yourself whether or not you want to do something like this. And I mentioned patience at the beginning. Another bad, the app can be buggy. Swimply is still a very immature tech company from everything outwardly facing. And they have problems with the app not doing things, or just being built in a way that doesn't always make the most sense. And it can be challenging at times. Now, personally, I've not had any significant problems, but this is another thing where I know there are hosts that have been extremely frustrated by bugs or problems that they've seen with the app and the corresponding response from Swimply in dealing with the problems that were created. So it is, in my mind, on the con list. You can have issues, and you've got to be prepared to just roll with what happens, because you don't really have control over how they develop that app, what features they release, what features they deprecate or go away. You've got to just roll with what they give you and make the best of it. So for you, in deciding is this right for you, answer these few questions. Can you handle the bad, the things that I called out that don't always go well? Can you handle some work? Can you handle your stuff getting damaged? Again, talking pool toys, not furniture or house or concrete, things like that. But can you be okay with buying new pool toys? And remember, you get tax benefits for that. But can you deal with that bad of needing to emotionally detach yourself from your pool toys? Can you be assertive if conflict arises, and make sure that you're able to have an uncomfortable conversation if it's needed about too many guests showing up, or inappropriate behavior, or somebody brought a bunch of glass bottles and they're drinking them in the pool, things like that. You've got to be ready for that type of uncomfortable conversation. So can you do that? Can you be patient with the technology and be creative in how you problem solve issues with your guests? If you answer all of those in a positive way, then hosting on Swimply is definitely right for you. If you're hesitant in any way, I would encourage you to just try it. You can always pull the listing down. You can always say, hey, this didn't work for me. If you're on the fence at all, put your listing up and see what happens, and go through a few guests. If you hate it, you pull the listing down, you cancel it, and you made a little bit of money and you have an experience to tell now. It's definitely worth trying, unless you feel very strongly in the negative to any of those questions around, is this for you? So give it a try. There's a link in the description for signing up for Swimply. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to drop them down below, and I'll be sure to get back to you.